Boxing truth here. Here it is. The Gennady Golovkin Kell Brook prediction. Waited to the very last minute to make this video as I'm completely torn with this fight. To be honest with you, I have no idea who's going to win this fight. I know for people who are backing Golovkin or are big Golovkin supporters, or they just see this as a mismatch, find this statement, what I just said, laughable. That I have no idea who's going to win this fight, but it's not just so simple as a welterweight moving up to fight a middleweight. Kell Brook is a much better fighter than people realize. He has a type of skill, talent. When you watch him, you see an A-level fighter, but unfortunately for him in his career, he hasn't been able to prove it against the elites of the welterweight division. But now he gets his chance to prove it against Golovkin. And he's regarded as a significant underdog. Golovkin's a solid favorite despite coming over to the UK to fight at the O2 Arena on the turf of Kell Brook. Not his hometown, but his home country, his network. There's going to be a lot of support for him there. Golovkin has support as well. It's not going to be as one-sided as people may think in terms of fan support. But this is truly a very interesting fight, and both guys have major advantages against each other. Now, we all know Golovkin's experience in the middleweight division, fighting middleweights, the type of run he's been on, destroying everybody. The unified middleweight champion, 22 straight knockouts, on the verge of making history with middleweight title defenses. But he's fighting a very skillful fighter in Kell Brook. A fighter with the type of speed, agility, and athleticism Golovkin has not seen, at least as a professional, in his entire professional career. Now, Golovkin's big advantage is his power. He has a type of punching power that can make world-class fighters or top 10 middleweights, once they feel it, they change their minds of wanting to win a fight against Golovkin. Golovkin's power can make a fighter, he can break a fighter's will. It can make him just say, fuck that, I'm not going to go another 10 rounds feeling this type of punching power. He's made fighters quit. He's made them get counted out by devastating body shots. He's been able to record knockouts after getting hit himself and delivering a knockout blow. He has elite punching power, which makes this fight very difficult to predict because of the skill set Kell Brook brings into this fight. Brook's major advantage in this fight is his speed and his foot speed. He has a type of speed Golovkin hasn't seen before. He hasn't fought anybody with the type of speed Kell Brook got. And it's going to be interesting to see how Golovkin deals with this type of speed, athleticism, and also Kell Brook can punch a little bit. He can be explosive with his punches. He can switch to southpaw. He can be very clever. He can line you up with his he'll blind you with his jab, line you up for the straight right hand, like he did with Bizier, where he recorded that dominant stoppage. And this is what concerns me about this fight. Golovkin is nowhere near as fast or quick as Kell Brook. Is he going to be able to deal with the speed? Is he going to be able to land his punching powers with consistency? Now, Kell Brook, what he needs to do in this fight, if he wants the highest probability of winning, he needs to fight the type of style he fought against Kevin Bizier in his last fight. He needs to stay in the pocket. He needs to constantly circle Golovkin or sidestep him, punch on the fly, punch while moving, which Kell Brook has the ability to do. He needs to hook off angles. He needs to keep Golovkin off balance. He needs to stay in Golovkin's chest and not run away from him. I know it sounds counterintuitive that you need to stay away from Golovkin you shouldn't take it to him or be within punching range. But that's how you get the most success against Golovkin. If you watch some of the footage where some fighters had the biggest success against him, they took it to him. They went at him. They were in his chest. They were within punching range. But you also got to be defensively responsible. You got to move your head after a combination. You got to punch while moving. You got to constantly circle him, sidestep him, pivot, punch off angles, and do it all over again. But you have to stay within in the center of the ring. You have to stay in the pocket, within punching range, so you can land your shots on them and continue to score points. And maybe you have to get inside Golovkin's power. When you run away from Golovkin, you're setting yourself up to be trapped by him, because Golovkin is very effective at cutting off the ring and trapping you into corners. Look how Monroe fought him. He tried to box him, move around, run around circles, and Golovkin will constantly trap him in a corner and land his devastating blows. You put yourself in danger when you run away from Golovkin, because when you get cornered by Golovkin, you're pretty much in a position to get hit. And in those tight circles, it's harder to duck and dodge those type of accurate uppercuts and overhand rights that he throws at you, and counter left hooks when he comes forward. So it's best to be in the center of the ring, in the pocket against Golovkin, but not just standing there. You have to use your skill set. You have to do all the tricks. You have to punch off angles. You have to turn them. You have to constantly keep the jab in his face. Keep throwing shots down the pipe where you can be effective against Golovkin. As some fighters in the past have shown, like Kasim Uma in his fight against Golovkin, in my opinion, gave Golovkin his toughest fight in his career. Golovkin looked terrible in that fight against Kasim Uma. For 8 rounds, it was a very tough fight. It was life and death. And I'm aware of the circumstances before the fight. He didn't get much sleep. He was stranded, shit like that. But the point is, he didn't look good in that fight. He arguably lost 3 or 4 rounds against Kasim Uma, because Kasim Uma was in his chest, constantly being active, throwing shots down the middle, down the pipe, and was constantly tagging Golovkin with straight lefts down the pipe. And he had a lot of success when he was in Golovkin's chest, taking it to him and not running away, backing off. But Golovkin showed what he's made of in that fight. People say he hasn't been tested. He got tested in that fight against Kasim Uma. He showed what he's made of. He showed his gas tank, his will to win. And that the guy is a machine. He keeps coming. He doesn't stop. It's almost impossible to hurt this guy. He's never been dropped. He's never been... I never seen the guy hurt in a prize fight. Never. I mean, the guy's like a truck. Just keeps plowing forward. Hard to stop him. Doesn't stop coming. Will counter you off the jab. With your own jab, he'll counter you. He uses the shoulder roll sometimes to avoid your right hands. He's defensively responsible when he wants to be. But he gets bored sometimes, especially when he's in with an opponent that he feels has no threat in hurting him. So he'll let the guy hit him sometimes just to put on a show for the fans. But he can't do that with Kell Brook, because Kell Brook has the speed to shock him and perhaps catch him with something he doesn't see coming. So he has to be defensively responsible for this fight. It's going to be a war of attrition. We're going to see who's in better condition. We're going to see who's the more skillful fighter. And we're just going to see who's better between the two fighters. As when you watch footage on both guys, from what I see, in my opinion, I see a lot more speed, fluidness, and athletic ability from Kell Brook than when you compare it to Golovkin's footage. Golovkin is technically sound, is a very good counter-punching coming forward. He's a pressure counter-puncher, power-puncher fighter. He likes to come forward. He likes to counter off your punchers. and he likes to set you up with his hooks and uppercuts, and he mixes up his shots well, especially when he has you hurt. He's very smart. When he gets you hurt, he'll go to the body and then back up to the top to the head, and his body shots are absolutely devastating. Golovkin, he's going to have trouble early against Brook because he has to adjust to his speed. The speed is something he's never seen before. Brook is very clever with his feet as well. He'll back up in a straight line. Now, a lot of trainers will say it's a cardinal sin to back up in a straight line, but when you're fighting a guy who has the foot speed, who's very quick on his feet, though a guy with that ability he can get away with that cardinal sin by backing up in a straight line, because he's very quick that it's hard for you to catch up to him, especially if you don't have the foot speed that he has. So this is the big major advantage Brook has, is his speed. I see Brook having a lot of success early. I see him constantly beating Golovkin to the punch, perhaps landing 2 to 3 to every Golovkin's 1. And it's going to be very interesting how the judges score this fight, as there's going to be a crazy atmosphere, a crazy crowd. Everything Kell Brook does is going to make the crowd go wild. The judges could be influenced. Golovkin cannot allow this fight go to distance. He has to continue the streak he's been on and knocking guys out. He has to continue that streak, especially if he wants to guarantee a win. He needs to knock Kell Brook out. But that's what I'm really intrigued by. How is Golovkin going to deal with Kell Brook's speed? Because he brings a lot to the table. I mean, he's much more skillful and dangerous than anything Golovkin has fought in his past few fights. He's much more dangerous than Gil, than Adama, than Dominic Wade. David Lemieux didn't have the speed. Just Martin Murray just wasn't fast enough or had the power to really shock Golovkin. All these guys that I mentioned just doesn't have the skill set or the type of ability Kell Brook has. The major difference is he's been fighting at welterweight. He's unproven at middleweight. I don't know how he's going to deal with Golovkin's power, because the past 23 middleweights Golovkin has fought, or 23 fighters he's fought, they couldn't deal with his power. His power is something out of this world. He can really shock you with his power, especially to the body. His body shots are devastating, and Golovkin can make this fight much more easy for him by going to the body of Kell Brooks, taking away his foot speed, wearing him down, so he can be more stationary and not as mobile, as Brooks' mobility and speed is going to give Golovkin trouble in the first part of the fight. I see it going rounds. I see Kell Brook having a lot of success. I've been torn about this fight. I was convinced a couple of days ago that Kell Brook was going to win this fight. I was on the verge of just saying in the video that I was going to pick him, that he's going to upset and shock the world. But I'm just not bold enough. I've been changing my mind the past day. But I'm not picking with great confidence, because I've never seen Golovkin deal with this type of speed and the type of arsenal Kell Brook brings to the table. I've never seen him deal with this type of fighter. And you look at the speed between both guys, Kell Brook has a major advantage. He's just much faster than Golovkin in both hand and foot speed. But Golovkin just keeps coming. He has the much superior gas tank. I don't think anybody is in better condition than Golovkin. He just keeps coming. He doesn't stop. He's a machine. And I'm not sure Kell Brook can hurt him. I'm not sure if he can get Golovkin's respect. Maybe he can. Maybe his speed will shock him and make Golovkin very hesitant and very concerned with trying to land his shots and constantly getting countered, or getting hooked, getting checked hook, or constantly being turned around by Kell Brook. But I see a very competitive fight for about 8 rounds. Perhaps Golovkin maybe even be trailing heading into the later rounds. But Golovkin he's going to constantly keep chopping down on Kell Brook. He's going to keep coming forward, landing his body shots, establishing his jab. And his conditioning and power and much more experience at the middleweight division, I think will be the difference. As I think Kell Brook is special. I think it's going to take a special fighter to beat him. And unfortunately, I think Golovkin is also a special fighter as well. I wanted to pick Kell Brook, but I just can't. I'm not bold enough. I think he can do it. I won't be shocked if he beats Golovkin, but I just can't go against Golovkin. I had to consider the impact he has in the boxing world. I had to consider all the big fights he has ahead of him and how he's going to drive the sport if he continues to constantly win and win in impressive fashion. There's been a lot some rumors going on. Eddie Hearn fucking started it. Eddie Hearn is nervous as everybody, saying that Golovkin looked drawn, looked sick. He looked fine to me. He looked like there's nothing. I don't see anything that's wrong with him. I don't see that he's sick or anything. And even if he is, he's done it before. He beat the shit out of Rosado when he was under the weather. So he's done it before. He's fought when he was sick or not in the best terms physically. Was sleep deprived, I heard, during the Kasim Uma fight. But I just can't go against Golovkin. I have to pick him winning by stoppage. It's going to be a grinding down type stoppage, as Golovkin's gas tank is going to be too much. His power and his pressure and his body punching is going to just take too much out of Kell Brook physically. Brook will be game. He'll be competitive. He'll show how good he is. And he will even shock Golovkin in the first half of the fight with his speed and foot speed and give Golovkin fits for a number of rounds. But Golovkin's going to keep coming. He's going to keep pounding away. He's going to keep establishing his jab and walking Kell Brook down and landing thudding body shots one by one. And then by the 8th round, you'll see Golovkin's power just taking an effect. And he'll grind Kell Brook down to a 10th round stoppage. 10th round stoppage, and will be a very good, much more competitive than expected fight. I was very close to picking Kell Brook, but I just can't do it. I have to see it to believe it. I believe he has the talent to do it, but like Abel Sanchez said, he gave Kell Brook the ultimate compliment. Kell Brook would be 50-50 against any other middleweight in the world, possibly even beat them. But he's fighting Gennady Golovkin, who is on another level compared to all those other middleweights. But we'll see. That's my prediction. Golovkin by 10th round stoppage. He will successfully defend his titles. He will increase his knockout streak. And then he will be on his goal, his ultimate dream, to become the undisputed middleweight champion. And another impressive win, but the toughest fight of his career and the most interesting, most talented, and best opponent he's ever faced in Kell Brook. But Golovkin will prevail. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.